I mean, hopefully we're not going to have the same issues today with YouTube and OBS. I think we need to switch to possibly Mixer, so that way we don't have the same issues with compatibility, because for some reason YouTube is having an issue with OBS. I mean, I have everything settings wise is about as good as it gets. So you think we should go ahead and start this live stream now?
I think we could be ready. A lot of problems with the programs not working the way they should, and kind of having some friction back and forth. We talked to representatives of all the involved parties, and they've decided they don't want to talk to each other. So we're going to see if we can't work some other resolve or resolution out with this, because it's just not working.
Hey guys, can I be in the live stream today?
Hold on, Sureshot, we're having some difficulties. Hold on, let me adjust. Let me adjust this really quick. Okay, I think we're good right now.
Hey.
Oh, perfect. Love that angle.
I don't appreciate this.
And welcome back. This is your man, Warrior. And this is your man, Sureshot. And we have wild animals on the loose at my house. And we are doing a Scissorman stream like always. And for my patron, Warbringer, shout out to Warbringer. What is up, my brother? It is your birthday, so happy birthday. You don't want me singing to you. I am sure of that. So I am glad that you guys are here. I am not going to leave YouTube. I was just joking, but I do want to try to possibly find another mixing software that's other than OBS, because we have issues with compatibility. All the other YouTubers are having the same issue with OBS, and they are switching platforms. A lot of them are going to different platforms. Some of them have gone to Twitch. Some have gone to Mixer. Some are using different mixing software. And well, I'm an old idiot man, so I don't really know. What I know is what I know, and I know OBS, and so it's frustrating because I know when you guys come on, you want to see and hear everything perfectly, and sometimes we have that freezing of the film and footage and stuff. So I don't know what we'll do about it. If you guys have ideas about a replacement software for OBS that works better with YouTube, I would love to know. But today we are going to get right into Scissorman live stream. The first thing I like to do pretty much always, aside from talking a lot, is I want to go into show characters, what I'm focused on and why. And the first thing is I got Padmé. I always say Padmé and it bothers people because I add an oh, she's a great Padmé. But I actually have her. Yeah, midriff Padmé. I didn't get her. I got regular Padmé. But I got her gear 10. And what's really, really amazing is we've done GOTB a couple times. We only got like 9 stars. But in our rewards, we got those cryotechs and stuff. And I can't use them for anything. So they've added up. I had like 102 and 108 of each one, something like that. Well, anyway, I got to Padmé and all of a sudden I had a character to use them on. So I was able to get her up, which was pretty awesome. Really quick, go ahead.
No use until now. Yeah. Lucky. Jeez, I got none of those.
And then, of course, everyone knows my affinity for the Geonosians, for ships. And of course, it really paid off. I had a gear 11 Geo Brood Alpha, or is that a gear 10? I don't know. I think it's a gear 10. Yep, looks like a gear 10. Gear 10 Poggle, gear 11 Soldier, Fac, and Spy. And they did it with ease. Had I got my Geo Brood Alpha up to gear 7 star. Had I got him to 7 star, I really think that I could have got a 7 star Padmé with this team as it is, because 6 star was literally very, very, very easy. Spy is like Nihilus. He has an Annihilate. He can hit for like 150, 200k, even on this account, and so he can one shot whoever you need. So if you want Padmé gone, she's gone. You just have to wait until you can target her. With the ability blocking that they do with Poggle and stuff, it just makes it real easy to keep them under wraps until it's time to one shot these fools. So this was good. The Geos did great for me. So I did get her. She was a side effect, actually, to be honest. She's not even on my farming system because she wasn't a thing when I built my 5-pillar system. And so I don't even have her on my pillar system, nor would I say you need to, highly focus on her, but I do tell people that you should be using your ship's currency and your Galactic War currency for the geos for ships, and I left your ships kind of up to you, but if you focused on ships and the geos like I suggest, you would have a side effect of having a Padmé just like me.
A nice roundabout way.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So I'm still working on my Geo Brood. I am going to eventually give him his second Zeta, get him to 7 stars. He's like one of my best teams for Grand Arena if that ever comes back. And then Padmé. And of course, all of a sudden, I have a Padmé unlocked and I don't really have any Galactic Republic. I'm like, uh-oh. I have a Gear 11, General Kenobi, and then of course I have Yoda, and they could technically work under her, so that's good. But I got to have at least a couple more. So I went ahead and I had Jedi Knight Anakin. I was farming him early on, and then realized that was a big mistake because it was a going down a rabbit hole I shouldn't have gone down. So, but now I'm like, wow, I'm glad I unlocked him earlier. Leveled. I know, never. I'm just like everybody else. You got too much excitement for too many things. But I got Jedi Knight Anakin to gear 9, and then I have Ahsoka at gear 6 and 6 stars. So hopefully I'll be able to get the 2 of them to around gear 9 or 10 and be able to use them under Padmé. I'm almost there for a Zeta, and I'm really struggling because I want to do the Geo Brood Alpha second Zeta. I want to do both of Padmé's Zetas. And a big question a lot of people have is which Zeta first on Padmé. So let me talk about both really, really quick, and we'll talk about it. So the first is the leadership ability. It gives them, when they have protection up, and remember, they're going to get it and then they're going to give it away. So they're only going to have this protection up before they take their turn. So when it's not their turn, these light side allies that have that protection up are going to resist all debuffs and they can't be critically hit. So it gives them durability and it helps them resist debuffs. Keeping in mind it's debuffs that don't say non-resistible, because if they're non-resistible debuffs, they're going to get those debuffs anyway. And it won't matter. So this is a pretty good Zeta. In fact, it just makes the team very durable to take a huge attack and then, come back from it. So leader is really great. But this one, if you look at tier 7, Padmé is immune to fear. So she's already got that. And it says whenever they lose protection up, they recover health, and allies can't gain or lose bonus turn meter. And whenever an enemy attacks out of turn, Galactic Republic ally, against a Galactic Republic ally, which is everybody on the team, hopefully, that ally will gain protection up 10%. Now, when you...
Immune to fear until it comes to Anakin.
I know, right? But when you go to 8, it goes from the 10% to 40% if Padmé's their leader. 40% protection up is 40% protection up versus 10%. It's a lot more durability. The second thing is it's way more protection for them to dispel for the stacks of courage so they can do more damage. So if you want to make this team have a bite and actually be very, very strong offensively, you really need their protection up to be as high as possible so they can dispel it. The thing is, when they dispel it, they won't gain the benefit from her leadership Zeta because they've dispelled it, and so they can now be critically hit. So I love the leadership Zeta, but the unique Zeta is absolutely the most important one between the two. It's always a choice. It's always a choice. So because it goes from 10% to 40%, that is huge. That is a lot of additional stacks of courage. That's a lot of additional offense. So that is my opinion on that. So I've got Geo Brood in there for obvious reasons, Jedi Knight Anakin and Ahsoka Tano for obvious reasons. By the way, they both have ships. So for a ships focus, that's easy. Ahsoka Tano, actually gearing and starring is really pretty easy. She's an older character, so this is a real blessing for that. You'll also see my Ewoks. They're in there. I'm trying to get my Ewoks ready for the next time that C-3PO comes around. Yeah, and I did not get C-3PO, of course, so I have Ewok Elder, 7-star gear 8, Poplu, 7-star gear 6, Chief Chirpa, 6-star. So I've got to finish Chief Chirpa off, get him to 7-star in Cantina. That's who I'm focused on in Cantina, and then I'm going to move to Anakin for Cantina to finish him off. And then you'll see I've got Logray. Logray's my issue because I can farm everybody else. Even Wicket, who's behind Logray, at least has a node that I can guaranteed farm every day. And then Logray. Right, doesn't guarantee shards, but at least guarantees me an attempt. Logray has to show up, and he just never hardly shows up. I've been buying him since the beginning of me starting 30 weeks ago, and I still don't have him 7 stars. And so I had the fortuitousness to buy him in the guild currency whenever he's available. And then, of course, you can see that I've got HK, Canderous, Bastila Fallen, Karth, and Jahani for obvious reasons, because I want to be able to get Darth Revan when he comes back around. And so I've got them all about 4 stars. So really it's a Darth Revan, C-3PO, and Padmé team focus for this team. And bottom line, you have to start digging into some characters and gearing them and starring them because you can't do all the gearing at once. So I went ahead and took them all as high as I possibly could. And now whenever I have stuff glowing, it goes on somebody up in these top 2 rows. And I'm happy with kind of where I'm at. The only other thing I would say is I really want to gear 13. I've got 5 gear 12s. That makes me pretty happy for this account. But I want to go gear 13 Revan because I want the extra 20 speed you get on those 3 pieces. And so I've been looking at these because I don't have a whole lot of gear 12 and I'm getting this stuff. What I don't have is this. And this med pack is, super easily farmable, but you've got to spend all that energy nonstop into this. And this needs a med pack and this needs another med pack. So I need like 40 or I'm sorry.
You get a med
yeah,
pack and you get a
I need
med pack.
40 med pack pieces per piece, and that's 80, and I have 32 of 80, so I need another basically 50 pieces of that farmed, which I can farm for, but it's going to take me this week. And then I looked over here, and I finally finished farming these, but I need these, which I started farming for with my over energy. Any energy I have at the end of the day that I haven't used and I'm in a rush, I'll just spend it all on this injector handle. We're going to call it an injector handle, my friend. We're not going to call it what we heard on Twitter because this is a PG program for
like a shower head.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with what I'm developing. We're going to take it to you. I'm just going to start to do dailies and go ahead and let me know what questions that we have over there. So far, so good. The stream has been perfect from the beginning to the end so far. I really hope that we have no issues whatsoever. So we're just going to take it off and Sureshot, go ahead and start running through those questions.
All right, got to do some stretches first. I'm going to try and jog through them as opposed to run through them because, sometimes running get a little bit winded, can't really catch them all. I find it funny that you're at an account with just under 2 million GP and you're already talking about a Gear 13 character. So, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who want to say it with me like, oh, boo-hoo. But I see a few people here talking about working on their Revans, and yeah, obviously you have them in your favorites, so you can start working on Darth Revan, but that's something that's still kind of far off from me just because he's not really viable for other things that I got going on right now. So it's all where you're at. I did see somebody, Mario Ramos asked worst farm, Zeta or Omega. I would say probably unequivocally across the board it is Omegas because they've got plenty of areas for Zetas now where you can even purchase them in a store, let alone you're guaranteed to drop now in the actual dailies when they pop up. So it's definitely a different farm than it used to be. Zetas are much easier now. Christos Cafellas, look at these 2 studs. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Hey, what's up? Didn't know if you guys were looking, but I can't find my beach ball. It's somewhere around here. It's about this big around. So, yeah.
Dude, I've just gotten 12 of him in the last 3. I got 4, I got 3, and then I got 5. So 4, 4, and 4, basically. And I still got more to go.
I keep saying it. We just need to bring my account on the live stream more often. That way I can have a good drop for a change, because every time we seem to be on here, especially in Cantina, you seem to get ridiculous drops. Ooh. Obviously, you have a bit more crystals that you throw at this and a lot of energy, but 16 in one day? I'm still sitting in that 4 to 5 range for Chirp. I get him pretty regularly. So far, Wicket and Cartho Nassi have not dropped a single shard in over 3 days yet again. I seem to get with those two, particularly 3-day drops, and then I'll get one on the 4th day, and then I'll usually go back to 3 days of nothing again. So they don't like me. I don't know what's going on there. Where's RNGesus? I need him to help me out.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I did have a question pop up from Quixote. Warrior, I watched old scissor videos on ships, 3 Geos up front, and Kylo/Tie reserve. Can you explain the benefit? They seem really slow like this, but I don't know it worked for you.
Okay, so Geos are slow. They're like this. They're literally the slowest ships in the game. In fact, Houndstooth is faster when maxed. So, it's like, oh my gosh, the slowest tank in the game is actually faster than Geos. Geos are slow. The thing with Geos is they survive. Most of the time, they survive really, really well because when they're maxed out, they've got the ability, especially with Spy in there, to dodge and be more evasive. And when they evade, they get stealth, and then they can't retarget that individual. So it forces them to hit Sunfac, and Sunfac is the second toughest tank in the game. Period. There's no other tank that's better but Houndstooth. Sunfac is amazing. Plus, Sunfac brings control with the stun if they have a buff. So that team is really durable at the high end, like when you have them pretty near maxed or maxed. With the evasiveness, you got to take them to gear 11. That's what I took mine to. So you can max their abilities out. And so once they survive, then they have the opportunity to go on the offense. There is nothing in the game that is offensively as powerful as the Geos. I know people would say, well, obviously it's better if you've got Han's Millennium Falcon. Yes, but even Han's Millennium Falcon doesn't call as many assists as the Geos do and do as much damage. The only reason why the Han's Millennium Falcon works better is because it dispels first, then does the damage, and so it's able to cut through all the bonus protection on Houndstooth that the Geos get caught up in. That is the only reason, one thing. Dispel on basic. If the Geos had that, they would be a million times better than anything in the entire game. So they put Houndstooth in. Yeah, they put Houndstooth in to kind of stunt the Geos because Geos were so OP. And then they brought in, because everyone had Houndstooth and it was a nightmare, they then brought in the Millennium Falcon to kind of deal with Houndstooth. And now there's some other ships coming in to deal with Houndstooth as well. For the record, I just got 0 of 5 is still, 0 for Wicket. So like you just said, you have the chance at going at Wicket, but no guarantees.
They don't like Wicket in this game. They don't like him 7-star especially. I don't know what the deal is. You'd think that was such a great character they'd actually want him in there. But yes, exactly. Star Cruiser Wish.
20% drop rate because I got 2 out of 10.
Hey, yep, it actually happened. I'm glad for you. Was that with the refresh?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah. I don't usually do the refreshes on those, so I just leave myself skunked, and it just ruins my whole day, and I walk around salty. So, it's a thing. It's unfortunate. My roommate over here will tell you. It's like, I don't like whenever he plays the game. Next thing you know, it's either yelling randomly and saying dropping F-bombs, and I'm like, yeah, oh, okay, I guess something didn't go right in the game again.
Like living with a schizo.
Yeah. I just call it Star Wars Tourette's, it's Capital Games' fault. They gave it to me. Let's see. Kent Perrier says, I have a Gear 10 Bastila, Grandmaster Yoda, Old Ben, Ezra Jolie. Should I focus on them to Gear 12 or get his Empire team geared up so that he can finally 3-star that Bosk node? I guess it depends on if you're going for Chewbacca or not.
Read that again. I'm sorry. I was super concentrated on Jahani. Not that I should have been, because Jahani doesn't really she doesn't do anything for me, but I was totally staring at her backside. So go for it. What was the question again? Hope you guys are doing great. Focused on Phoenix? No, that's the wrong question. Where are we at? Kent Perrier says, I have a Gear 10 Basti, Grandmaster Yoda, Old Ben, Ezra, Jolie. So there's a great team. I was using that basically. Should I focus them to Gear 12 or get my Empire team geared up more to Gear 10 so I can finally 3-star the Bosk node? I would get your Empire team up to Gear 10. This is why it'll give you a second viable team, a dark side team, and yes, you'll be able to get that Bosk node so you can start getting Bosk. Bosk is that important. The other thing is you could borrow a Gear 13 General Grievous from a friend, and Gear 13 General Grievous is an easy way to clear those nodes. Now you got to 3-star it, so you got to bring in a bunch of the most durable dark side you have. But General Grievous, Gear 13, can ramp up his damage, and by round 3, he's doing some decent one-shots. So remember now, you got some Gear 13 you could possibly borrow from people. That wasn't even a thing a few months ago, and now newbies can borrow like super tricked out characters if their allies have them. So, yep.
I may have borrowed a tune from you time or two in the past, back when I was still actually completing those. It's been a little while. somebody was asking the other day what you started the game or what you're using in Arena when you started the game. I think that was on one of the forums, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I remember when I moved my team to a better option to actually start moving up in the arenas, but I don't remember what they were before the Churret and Baze combo and the...
You were Phoenix.
Phoenix? Not in Arena. I was using them quite a bit, but I don't think I was actually using them in Arena.
That was your first Arena.
Was that Arena team?
That was your first Arena.
Could be, yeah. I know that I wanted to go Rebels, and I was looking for CLS too, so when I got around to that, but I think it was still Biggs and Wedge combo that was my leadership and power hitters, so that was cool back in the day. It was nice to see myself go from that mid 500 range to jump to 200 in just a few days, so that was nice. Short-lived, and I never really gotten above that since then, but for a time, it was nice. Let's see. Somebody was asking if you enjoy this account or your new account and why. Or your new account or your main account, I should say.
So my main account, I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy my main account to an extent. I've been playing it for years. I love the characters in it. I love the development, where I'm at, blah, blah, blah. I'm almost at my 100th Zeta in the game. So it's kind of like a century... a century mark for that account. So I'm pretty excited about the milestones. There are some things I can do in that account I can't do with this alt account, such as the Acklay mission. I just put a video out yesterday because everyone's doing the Acklay today. I wanted to give them a prep video for that. So there's things like that I can't do with this account. I also have basically everything. So it's like my own personal, test account. Thank you, Darth Mar. Darth Mar just donated. Darth Mar is one of my patrons, and he says, "Hey guys, looking forward to story time today." So I better start thinking about story time now. Yeah, whoops, I forgot. We will figure something out because that's super fun. But I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think that, clones are a really good bet. And I already have Cody's. And I think there's a possibility that Fives is going to get a rework. And so if I throw a Zeta on him, one of two things will happen. Either my Zeta will be converted to a better Zeta automatically, or they'll give it back to me and I'll get it back anyway. So I'm thinking about doing Fives. Plus, overwhelmingly on Facebook and Twitter, everybody said Fives, and I didn't even think about him. I was thinking of someone selfishly like Embo. Embo or Dengar. I think both of those are super fun. But my bounty hunters are gear 12, not gear 13. And so I was thinking, who am I evolving to gear 13? What teams am I evolving to gear 13? What Zetas would be applicable? So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm leaning towards Fives for that 100th Zeta. Now, this account is way more fun in pretty much every other way, like just daily playing. Like there's still excitement. Yeah, I'm struggling through the Rebel Assault, which is fun. I'm loving doing the special mission with Gear 8 characters and winning. It's like on day 2, it's like, yeah, it's like, I did it. So there's some excitement that comes from that. Like if I play this on my main account, I would just hit auto and I would go drink some coffee or whatever and come back, and it's like an annoyance. So it's nice that some of this PvE content has been, some new life has been breathed into it for me. So it goes both ways for sure. Mm-hmm. We're going for the med packs now.
Yes, med packs. Forward leg before you get buried there, asking at your free-to-play account level 46, focused on Phoenix teams, other teams that might have to focus on, also challenges or events, etc. I guess it depends on if you're going for the legendary characters or not. Obviously, you can go for Thrawn with your Phoenix team if you don't already have them. That's a huge key one. That my next step after that was going right for First Order and the vets to go for BB-8 and JTR, but I almost wouldn't know if that's actually the best way to go about it now anymore. I mean, for JTR, does she even have much of a place in the meta anymore?
Not so much. She's a really great offensive team for Grand Arena. I've just gotten 10 of these so far.
Nice.
I got 4, 2, 4, man. This is good, you guys. This is really good.
We're just not going to focus on him. Let him get every piece of gear he needs, and I'll just keep on going with the questions as much as I can. So, yeah, as far as for upcoming teams with that.
After I say that, I more. Oh, there's 4 again.
Definitely keep on working on all of your Rebels, though, for CLS if you don't have them yet. That's just a key character in a lot of ways, and still partially on the end of meta. So I'd say CLS if you don't have them yet, to try and answer your question there. Matt Garcia, how much did I miss? Not much, bud. You came in at a good time. It was got all the early jitters out and all that, except you missed the sketch, so that just means you have to go back and watch it again. Already got to the. That's funny. I don't know what HUF currency is, but when I saw 1,000, your first thought I was always like, "Holy cow, this guy's got some money to burn." But I don't know how that translates into American pesos. Oh, nice. What'd you get?
I just put a furnace on him.
A Foinus.
That was 6 speed and
Gear 12
health.
plus. Yeah, it's official. Your lower account has a more powerful Jedi Knight Revan than I. Yeah, I got them all 3 Zetas, but I just popped into Gear 11 recently, so that's going to be a little bit before that Gear 12.
Health and protection, 290.
Ooh, 290 speed. You even got more speed than me too. Well, at least you're not in my shard. Kev the Jedi I kind of like that.
And he gets 40 speed from his leadership, so 290 becomes 330. So as long as the Darth Revans and Basties and all of that are under 330, I get to go first, and I actually can win because they don't have Malik. So yeah, I'm still able to beat some of these guys in the top 10. In fact, I've placed in the top 10 this entire week by beating Darth Revan teams with my Jedi Knight Revan. So yeah, pretty excited about that, although I do want to get Darth Revan, so that way I have both Revan teams for the event. You know, that's coming up, the Malik event that will come up in December.
Yes. December 5th, people. You've heard it here. Isn't it always December 5th? I was getting to Kev the Jedi's question. Didn't see the vote on Twitter. Have you chosen who gets the 100th Zeta? Oh, we're just discussing that. He's thinking 5s right now, especially for the possibility of it being refunded back to him if they decide to rework it after they put it out and decide that it's too OP or something. Because, you know, they can't decide sometimes. They have to wait for us all to test it. Darth Mara, good luck. I reminded you. Oh, yeah, that's the 100th Zeta. Michelangelo, I just can't say that name normally just because, you know, he's a party dude. Do you know how long it takes to get all Jedi Revan characters needed for the event to 7 stars? Only have Bastila 6-star, Jolie 3-star. Could I farm them all before the next event? If you're talking Jedi Knight Revan, he just came out recently-ish, so I would say, we're only 4 months out on him, 3 months? So yeah, it'd be a bit of a crunch. I think that 3-star Jolie is going to be your biggest holdback, but if those are the last 2 you have to get to 7-star, then it's a possibility. Just focus, stay on target, keep that farming up. Let's see here.
We're gonna slice some Oz.
Ooh, whoosh. Doing a little bit of Star Wars mod ninja here.
Yep, slicing mods. This has offense and speed on it, so it's a 50% chance I get what I want. So be prepared for protection to roll, you guys.
Calling it out now.
Yep, here we go. 1, 2, 3, go! What? And nothing. All right. Okay. That was the bad one. See, that was the protection roll. Now it's going to be speed. Speed. And tenacity's at 6% because I didn't want or need that. Oh, okay. Let's move over here. This one doesn't even have speed on it. I just don't have a good mod to put in here. Let's see. Yeah, I just don't have a good mod to put in here. Well, I'm going to slice it anyway. I don't even care. I don't care. I do what I want. Protection, of course, because that's what I wanted. Protection. I just wasted all that. That sucks. All right, never mind. Back to you.
Back to you in the studio, Tom. Zavis wants to know what's up with my channel. Shameless plug, ? It wouldn't be shameless because you asked. So, yeah, I'll get back to you on that one.
They're working on art. And actually, really quickly, let's introduce to you the other half. So come on over here.
Where is it? Oh, hi. How you doing?
Well, you already introduced me once. I had a wig on, remember?
Yeah, I did introduce you, and you stood on a chair, and you were in 80s attire and
They
looked.
had to see the shorty shorts.
Showing off the killer
That's
shorts.
the way it
So these two guys are going to have a channel coming up. It's going to be more of a skit-based channel, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe an opinion channel. I don't know exactly what their focus is, but they are working on the art. By the way, if you guys have seen any of my artwork, a lot of the artwork that I've had, there's one of them where I'm like riding a one-armed wampa. this is the gentleman you can thank for that artwork, because he actually built that artwork. Also, if you've seen some of my thumbnails that have like me as a Jedi, or me as a Sith and him as a Jedi kind of thing, in a cartoon nature, both of those were drawn by him. So pretty cool. He's pretty talented in the art world. So I'm pretty excited about their channel that they're going to have. So it's one of those things in motion, and they're trying to build the design, the intent, all of that kind of stuff. They're taking time. And you just moved back to town.
Yeah, I've been living in Illinois for like the last year and a half, so, you know, this is all very new to me.
Including using a microphone. By the way, we can block your face completely
I know.
if we just move the mic in front of you.
Why don't you just use my head as the microphone?
Yeah. Let's get a muff for you.
Yeah. Get a little afro, you know?
Yeah. No, we have tons of ideas for videos. We have lots of creativity kind of flowing from every different orifice, and it's interesting to see how it can kind of formulate into something as a cohesive channel later, but there's about 3 main topics that we're trying to decide if we're going to go with one or try and make it more of a variety show. So once we get a better idea of that, get a few more equipment issues ironed out, we do have a studio already kind of figured out and picked out, and how we're going to try and design and decorate that. So all the things that I think might be secondary, and we could actually start putting content out and then work through all that, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and try to have things set up better before I jump into something full head first, so I might be my own worst enemy at that point, kind of holding us back, but there is plenty of ideas out there. It's just one of the main roadblocks is just being editing right now, because I'm trying to learn a new program, I'm trying to get decent at it, and that's been a big frustration for me, because I'm not taking to it as normally and naturally as I'd like to. So I think once we kind of get a few more of those details ironed out, we'll start seeing some content pop up there, because we are going to go for monetization, but we got quite a few hours to get racked up before that happens. So the biggest key at this point is to just get the content out there. So it should be coming around here hopefully in the next few months. I'm not going to say anything officially because I don't want to put myself into a corner, but yeah, it's coming. It's a possibility.
When it happens, he will probably say something about it.
Yeah.
So the way the microphone works is you have to go to the microphone and speak into the microphone, and then they'll hear you. Otherwise, all they hear is...
Well, I don't want to like literally go into his face like that, you know, like, hey, how's it going? You know.
Well, if you were actually like set up for this entire stream, we probably would have adjusted the microphone.
Yeah,
but
to my height.
yeah, because he's vertically challenged just a little bit.
He's at Hollywood height, you know. If we were to put him on paper somewhere, he'd suddenly gain 2 inches, so it's all right.
Well, now you're Hollywood 6 feet, so
Yeah, exactly. A Hollywood version. It's an extra 2 inches in there somewhere. It's oh, and hey, Darth Mar did mention that was Hungarian forints. So awesome. Now I know what the HUF stands for. So won't forget that for next time. Yeah, I will. The Hungarian. I was about to say. Anyways.
when do you start school, Sureshot?
Maybe they're referring to editing class.
Oh, maybe.
Max Power says that mods just plain suck now after 2.0. You're right. Just don't complain about it in private, or someone might screenshot it and share it with the community.
Darth Mar, no, the channel will not be Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes related. I will probably plug it here and there, talk about it. Definitely going to have Warrior on the channel, but it will not be geared towards that. I'm leaving that to professionals. I'm mostly just here for commentary and personality. So if you wanted something that's going to be more towards strategy along with that, you've got better people to look for than that, fortunately.
But we can talk about Star Wars because we all watch Star Wars.
Yes, there'll be lots of cinema banter for sure. We have plenty of opinions about movies.
They have a lot of opinions.
Mm-hmm. Plenty to share, plenty to throw out there.
Purely opinion based.
Mm-hmm. Chris Slay, I missed a heartfelt comment. Did it get buried? Where'd it go?
Heartfelt.
No.
6-star characters, 5.
Oh, hey there, Warrior and Sureshot. You are the honey to my raisins, the apple to my eye, the caps lock to my letters. Thank you.
Adorable.
Feeling the love. Mario Ramos, a salty channel. Could be that too.
That could be a salty channel. So a lot of people, thanks again, by the way, for popping in. I appreciate it. As he's like just slowly shrinks.
Didn't know we had an elevator back there.
This is one of the reasons why I said that Kira in step 1, when you first start out, you can only access a couple of characters. She'd be a great character to farm. I started farming her, but I progressed so quickly that I kind of gave up on her immediately for other farms. I was moving at breakneck speeds. I think people that aren't moving quite as fast as me would really benefit greatly from it because she's the leader. I don't even have a leader here. I've got Chewbacca as my leader, no leader ability. And of course, young Han Solo is just an easy farm he's put in there, and there's just an easy way to get him. This is a fun event to get some stuff. I just wish that they varied which mods dropped, that they would give you a kind of a variant. But this team is super, super powerful, just even the 3 of them. I just wish I could get to the next level, but at least I'm getting 5-mods out of this now.
Whenever I do this event, it's an interesting combo. I got the not only Han and Chewbacca now, but I also have the vet Han and Chewbacca. So it's an interesting 4 combo there with no leader, but they end up getting through the second node pretty easily. That third one's not even available yet because of I think I need a 5th 7-star for that one, and I don't have a, is it Scoundrels or just Smugglers? Smugglers, that's right. The 2 always go hand in hand in my mind. Maybe it's because they're S words, I don't know, but that's the combo that I have in there, and they're all pretty underpowered, undergeared, so it's interesting to see him just kind of barely eke out the second node all the time. But yeah, Kara would be nice on there. I would definitely enjoy that. She's got a great roundhouse kick. Frank Brown, just Joel. See if I missed any other questions here. Mario Ramos wanted to know gear and Zeta, quick tip, gear and Zeta Triumvirate or CLS team. Ooh. I guess that's also another question. If you're talking arena, you could still be viable CLS-wise. Otherwise, for a few other aspects of the game, I would say Triumvirate. Even though I do like the Rebels and the CLS squad, they're pretty awesome. I love the turn meter reduction. I hate going against them, but when I get to use against somebody else or see them rack up defensive wins in territory war, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. Ciao from Italy, Warrior and Sureshot. Thanks, Gare. There's too many R's in there. I'm too American, sorry. You are not the swgoh heroes the community deserve, but the ones we desperately need. Well, thank you. Everybody's just too, fact-based and, too strategy-based and, give you too much stuff that's to the game only. Crit damage and health with speed health secondary.
With speed.
Nice.
Health with crit damage and speed.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent one.
Yes, I like those stacks, the health on health.
Health with health.
Health on health. Yeah, but it's a speed arrow, or it's an arrow. You always want that speed. I always wanted speed. I know you can use it for other things, but it's stuck in my head.
General Grievous.
Yeah. Let me just give you 5 characters off the top of my head that a speed arrow isn't necessary for. I know! I'm a simpleton like that. I have to keep it in those terms, otherwise it's just too much for me to handle. That's what I have you here for. To make me lazy in the game. Let's see. Andre Cormier? Yep. Warrior having the worst time getting health triangle with health primary. Should I keep farming in mod challenges or take the 150 crystal refresh and use in mod store? How do you get a targeted mod? Hopes and prayers.
Best way to get a targeted mod, there's 2 ways. One, look in the store and constantly look for the specific mods you're looking for. On my main account, I look for triangles and crosses. That's it. I just go down to the bottom, look at the 2 triangles, the 2 crosses. Refresh is 15 crystals. If you've got the crystals to do it, do it. Spend 50 or 100. So do 3 or 6 refreshes on the store for the whatever targeted mods you're looking for. I would look at all of them. If you're, spending the crystals, you might as well. You might find a rare off one that's super awesome. But the store has really produced me very little, if any, good quality mods. In fact, when I have a gold mod showing 5 speed, it just doesn't roll. It happens almost every time. It's just super annoying. I do think that you should be looking at the secondary stats, and if there's defense, percent or flat, just don't even buy it, even if it shows speed secondary, because defense always rolls. Literally every time I have a mod with defense, defense rolls more statistically than all the other options. There's a guy on Reddit that posted all the secondary stats and how often they rolled, with speed rolling the least and offense rolling the second least, and then it went up from there. And tenacity was way up there, and health was up there, protection was up there, but defense was the number one most triggered thing. Now they say statistically it's an even 25%, 25%, 25%. Like it's an even roll. Like every time it thinks it's going to roll something, it rolls evenly 25% chance. But the data just does not support that at all. And the guy that had that on Reddit that had all that information, did it for a very long time and had a very large pool of information. So, you can say, oh, it happens to me all the time, but until you have data in front of you, it's really just, you're just, exactly. So anyway, I know that if you've got defense on it, just don't. I've had better luck not rolling speed with mods that don't have defense. And then the other thing is just farming mods, farm. You can farm for a week, get nothing, and then the very next day get 3 mods in one drop that are all going to be usable with 10 to 15 speed potential, and then hopefully one day you'll hit that 20 plus speed mod. I got a 20 plus speed mod on my free to play account, so it happens. It's like the lottery, but it does happen. So you just have to keep farming mods.
I find in the store, too, that those ones that I get that are good are always by accident. I didn't specifically say, hey, I need this particular mod, and I go in there and look for it, and it happens to be there. It's usually a scrolling through, and I check them as I go through anyways, but see one that I actually need and go, oh, hey, one of those times.
Wow, 1,700 damage. That is crazy, Young Han. Good for you.
Right? Getting those numbers up there. I don't know if it's because I haven't paid attention, but in that particular scene, the train eventually goes by on the track back there. I never noticed that. And it's maybe because we sat there and waited long enough, but, funny little side note in my peripheral there. Somebody was asking if you have a Discord. Warrior has a Discord, Greg Mack. You have to join Patreon to get on there to have some personal conversation there with him. So if you're interested in something like that, you can go pledge over there and get hooked up with an actual chatting platform. Otherwise, here it's just kind of if I can get around to the questions, so good luck. No.
And to that, I'm on Facebook, and I talk to everybody on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook snob. I talk to everyone. I got my real name on there. People talk to me, message me there all the time. I'm on Twitter. I talk to everybody on Twitter, respond to everybody on Twitter. On YouTube, when people leave messages, I comment on each and every single comment, as long as it's not caught in a filter. Yeah. I see it, and I respond to it. I literally respond to all public forms of communication. My Discord is the only thing that is private, and it is a benefit to the patrons, and so the patrons, they're obviously financially supporting, so they gotta there's got to be some benefit to doing that. That is one of them. They've got a bunch of channels, and each channel gives them the opportunity, if they're looking for territory battle teams or questions, they can go into the territory battles channel and ask, and then I see everything in there, and I can either I myself respond or someone in my community responds. And I have a smaller community. We try to keep it under 100 people because everything is answered every time with really good info. It's not overwhelmed or bogged down. This is not being derogatory to anybody, but in other chat rooms, you guys have been in there, I'm unequivocally right on this. You go in there, you'll drop a message, and then there's it's buried in minutes, and you're like, did anyone even see my thing? They're bantering about something they're mad at, and all of a sudden it's buried, and there's too many people. When you get 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people in a Discord chat, everything you try and say and do gets buried. Things have to get pinned, and people have a hard time finding stuff. So I didn't want that. So that's why I specifically built it to be a private system, so that way I could actually find and respond to all of those pertinent questions to make sure that I was actually giving them the information that they were wanting. That was kind of the whole point of the Discord to begin with. So I'm not going to make it public, never will. It's why I have it as a benefit. I just hope everybody understands that. But anyone can talk to me. They literally can go on the Facebook page and talk to me there, or they can go on YouTube comments, or they can go to Twitter. I respond to everybody everywhere.
Before we mention the generous donation there, I have to go back to Eric Crum before he gets buried too.
That's a patron of mine. TB12 is good.
TB12 is good. Yeah, I do recognize the name. He's been popping up. So thank you for the donation. That's nice. He wants to know, well, I guess we'll go ahead and pop to him since you mentioned it. What dark side chips do you use in geo territory battle missions?
All of them? No. So I really like using my geos with the vulture droid because every time they call an assist, they call vulture droid. He's super powerful. The problem with that particular mission is if you use your geos with him, they can, a lot of times you can lose a droid or a character, one of your geos, before you get a chance. So you'd have to take in Houndstooth, Sunfac, and then like Spy or a soldier, and then bring Spy in reinforcement, which if Vulture Droid's coming in first, then that delays things. Hold on a second. Holy Lord. Oh my gosh, I didn't have time to mute that. I just had to sneeze. Yeah. So it's a difficult thing. So what a lot of people are doing with the Vulture Droid is they're actually using the Houndstooth, and like they're using Sith ships or First Order ships, or a combination of Sith and First Order ships, because they're really pretty durable. And then the Vulture Droid really cleans up. And then on the other one, they're bringing in their geos in hopes that they can chew through. But right now, I don't know many people who can get both missions, especially on day 2, done and completed. It's super difficult to do that, because whichever mission you have Houndstooth, you probably are going to win. Whichever mission you don't have Houndstooth, the RNG is probably going to go south and you're probably going to lose. But I'll tell you, First Order has a lot of real durability. If you play their abilities right, you can regenerate a lot of the protection and you can survive. So let me see what I got on mods again.
Going back to Eric Cron's question earlier, he was asking if the game were to shut down today, what would you or I fill our extra time with, since we don't have Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes to occupy that anymore. And I guess, yeah, first and foremost, it'd probably be I'd fill up my time with editing, so I can get my channel going, utilize all the footage that's just sitting there not doing anything. So that's the first and foremost that I can think of. Otherwise, probably, I don't know, maybe go outside more, enjoy some nature, maybe go do some bushcrafting, make a nice tent.
We would look at trees, and we would know they were trees because of the way that they are. That's pretty neat.
Especially them aspens, they are pretty neat. What would you do with all of your copious amounts of extra time if you didn't have your 2 accounts and your territory battles and your grand arenas and your territory wars and
I don't know, man. I don't know life without chaos. So, but before this season of my life, actually, I do have a story for story time. It's not a good story or a bad story. It's actually kind of a political story. So I'm going to try to depoliticize it. I don't want to jump on one side or the other, because both sides are wrong and both sides are angling their arguments wrong. There's a happy middle. Yeah, there's a happy middle of humanity plus reality that exists that both sides of the political spectrum are failing to see. So my story will come. I already know which one I'll do. Actually, it's a good, heartwarming yet kind of sad story of reality, but it'll be a good one to go after. But what was I saying? I have no idea where I'm going with it. Oh, life outside of chaos. That's right. So, right now I've got chaos because I'm, working. I've got a wife, got 4 kids. We're doing YouTube, editing, trying to, play the game. I just moved recently. I've got adult children that are adults, that one of them still lives with me. And the other one, visits and stuff. So life is, busy. At work, just recently, it was really, really busy. Prior to this season, I was in a season where I was doing foster care. I was an elder of a church. I was a cop. I had, court cases 2-3 times a week. I had court cases for the foster kids 2-3 times a week. That was an even busier season of my life, to be honest. And so for the last 10 years, all I've ever known is chaos, you know what I mean? So I don't really know what I would do. I would probably find that space of time and focus on something, maybe like unpack, because I've lived here for...
You've unpacked, but completely, right?
Yeah, I've lived here for 6 friggin' months, and I have yet to unpack my garage. It's embarrassing, actually. I open the garage door up and there's just boxes stacked to the ceiling in multiple spots, and people are like, You're gonna unpack your house? I had someone say, "Where's the iron?" Because they wanted to iron a T-shirt, and I was like, think it's in the garage in one of the piles, and I'm sorry. And they're like, haven't you lived here for 6 months? You don't know where your iron is? It's like, who irons today anyway? Like, get an ironless shirt, my friend.
Right. Proper response to that should be, what's an iron? I don't know. I haven't had one in 6 months. There's no such thing anymore. It's completely out of my realm. Saw a question here. Oh, Michelangelo liked the way I pronounced his name last time. Tubular. Do you guys know when the Yoda and Palpatine events are coming again? The events website have said soon for so long without a date. Yoda and Palpatine's been a hot minute since I've had to do that. You've recently done that one, but I think it's been a couple months at least since they've been around, hasn't it?
Yeah, it should be pretty close to like 4 to 6 months or 4 to 6 weeks, probably like a month ish. Until then, because they rotate every, like basically every 3 months, they come and go. Now, side note, look at my crystals. We're going to have to spend some of my crystals.
Ooh, gotta do something about that, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, yeah,
Bad luck, and
let's do this. Let's just do that. Okay. And then let's go mod challenges. And I really need, let's do critical damage. And let's just get some critical damage mods. And come on, give me some white, because I'm going to sell those. Someone asked me, like, how do I go through and figure out mods? And like, in a free-to-play account, you don't have a lot of credits. You can't just open everything. I know I do in my main account. Every single mod I roll, if it's 5 dot, I roll it. But you don't have the ability to do that in this account, right? And they're right. And so what I do is I go to manage, and I go to sell. And anything that's not 5 dot, I sell. The second thing I do is you'll get an infinite, unlimited supply of white drop. Okay, and you could have a 25 speed on one of the whites, but you'll never know because you will never have the time to roll all of these mods. So what I do is I take the left side of mods, which is the circle, the diamond, and the square, and those are the 3 that they drop 10 times more than the right side, the arrows, the diamonds, or the triangles and stuff. And then I go through and I'll just sell any of these. You can see I already have the white ones. I'm not going to have time or money to sell or to roll all of those. So I do that to try and get, try and clear my mod inventory out. You have to, because otherwise you get too many mods and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? So you just, at this point, I just have to kind of kill some of the mods. And then the other thing I'm going to do is we're going to try and roll some of these. So we're going to go to speed secondary, and we'll go to sort, and we'll go speed. And I'm going to just go through here and try and roll some mods. You can chat, but I'm just going to look for hopefully some good ones that maybe will pop for my Padmé team.
Padmé.
Yeah, Padmé. Yeah, so and health mods are actually good for Padmé teams because of her leadership. They get additional health, 50% more health. And so, you could do like a crit chance, health and health, or, crit damage and health sets, or, something to that effect, because it's going to help them all the way around be more durable. And her leadership really helps with health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that one became the exception to the rule. We do generally say first zeta being leadership if you're using that particular character in a leader spot. This one being, unique's probably a better way to go off the bat.
This is a terrible triangle because it's a defense primary, and this is just the way the game works, is you get a defense primary and then you get really good secondary stats. But look at this. Offense at almost 0.5, which anything at 0.5 or above is like amazing. Like, speed is at 5. And then health percent and health flat. And so it's everything a triangle should be except for a good primary stat. But this would be great for anybody underneath that. Now, if I was going to put this on, if it rolls good, this could go on General Kenobi because defense does make sense on General Kenobi. And the health pool is going to make sense on him. The offense doesn't, and I may not even get offense to roll. But we're gonna see how we do with some mod rolls.
Gonna get a chance to yell and scream and hoot and holler and yay! I know the last couple of times we did that and we yelled randomly. We had people commenting like, "My ears!"
Yay!
Keep the excitement down to a minimal. Nice. We get to find somebody who's gonna want to have some offense now there too. So nice.
Man, everything I wanted. It's like Christmas.
And they actually read my Christmas list. Yeah. What did it do? Oh, health.
That's all right. That's a pretty...
Go ahead and roll that to a 6 dot. Oh, wait.
So...
Lloyd Christmas? What? Oh.
That's decent.
It is decent. Antonio Mateos. No, just Matos. I have Thrawn in my leader slot for Empire since I don't have Palpatine. In which level of leader ability should I change the leadership?
Where is it?
It says Thrawn is leader slot for Empire since he doesn't have Palpatine. But in which level of leader ability should I change the leadership?
I don't really know if I understand the question. He's using Thrawn as his leader, and then he says, which level of leader ability should I change to leadership? Change to leadership. Antonio, try and reword that. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking for. If you can get Emperor Palpatine, then do it. If you don't, then use Thrawn. I think you've answered your own question, or I'm totally ignorant to what you're asking for. So maybe a rework. Raza says, by the way, thanks for your Acklay video. Very helpful. That was my hope, was to release it yesterday with enough time for people to watch it and review it. I'm sorry it's almost 20 minutes long. I don't know how to make a short video. I talk too much, but I felt like everything I said was pertinent to the video at hand. So I wanted it to be insightful when people watched it and had confidence that they could go in and beat the Acklay mission today for their team. So it's super important.
Yep. Timing is everything with a lot of this stuff, and it's nice that it actually lines up for a change. Looks like we had Takedown Games is listening on the way to work. So cheers. Pay attention to the road. Don't text. Be a good boy. Drink plenty of water. Get lots of sleep.
Defense was on my mod, and guess what rolled? Oh, it's an even 25% chance of rolling defense.
How about there's...
Guys, it's not a conspiracy theory. I'm telling you, they're all weighted differently. Weighted means that like specific stats have a higher weight or a higher likelihood of triggering. It's programmable, very easily programmable for a fact. And it is very much so programmed in that way. So defense is definitely programmed with a much higher weight, and it drops nearly twice as often as speed on secondaries. This sucks. This was going to be a possibly good mod, except for defense was on there. Don't buy mods with defense on them. Don't do it.
Little did you know, that was actually a good parable for loaded dice. They don't always go the way that they're supposed to, but loaded to a certain direction, they tend to land a little bit more the way that you want them to. Next, anybody else? Oh yeah, sure, Sat. Antonio, I forgot one sentence. I have Thrawn in leadership when I get Palpatine. When he gets Palpatine, in which level should he change the leaderships? Oh, okay, so at what point should he change Thrawn out when he gets Palpatine?
Gear 9.
So...
And Zeta.
Yeah,
as soon as he gets Zetas.
As soon as you get Zetas. And I do like somebody else's comment there. Says, don't Zeta Thrawn's leadership ability. I wouldn't say I know the exact reason behind that. I just know that he's a great plug-and-play character for so many things, but he's not known as the best leader in the game. So it's something you could hold off for maybe a better situation, especially if you're going for Palpatine, then give him the leadership Zeta for sure. His other Zeta just gives him makes him more durable, but his leadership across the board for Empire, yes. Yep. For sure.
Look at that protection.
Indeed.
And pretty neat.
Anything fantabulous going on over here while I wasn't paying attention? See, I do that on purpose to try and be like, see, if I'm not looking, it's going to happen. Again, another reason why we should bring my account on here, because, just need a little bit of that, a little bit of extra help.
Defense.
Paolo again wants to know 40 defense on a golden critical damage triangle with critical damage primary and 5 speed. Who can benefit the most of it, or do I just throw it away? Well, no, that's definitely a good mod not to throw away.
You put it on a high defense tank. You're looking at L3, Vandor, Zalbar, General Kenobi, Sunfac, like one of the tanks that would benefit from high defense percent, Kylo Ren Unmasked possibly. So anybody who you want to get over 50% defense, or you want to just raise the flat stat of defense. Flat defense is actually better because flat defense is a flat increase versus a percentage increase. The percentage increase is whatever you call that. Where, I don't even remember the technical term, but percentage is not going to be as good as flat when it comes to defense.
Yes. One of those times at the exception to the rule. They always happen. Patrick Consorte wants to know from either of us having a problem with houndstooth in ships on his climbing. Any tips to get past that? Millennium Falcon? No.
Well, you should be using geos, and if you're not going to get past houndstooth, but you also should be using chimera. The chimera and geos can get past houndstooth every single time, 100% of the time. Spy can come in and can double taunt, cause 2 different taunts, so you can kill other people in the meantime while you're delaying the inevitable, and then you use your ultimate on houndstooth, which normally kills houndstooth plus something else. Plus, when your geos go, if their houndstooth hasn't taunted yet, you can do like a triple mollywop to a ship and kill it because they're so powerful. They lose a ship, he taunts, then you counter taunt, kill something else. You've killed 2 ships already, and then you blast him plus another ship possibly. So yeah, I definitely think you should be using geos and the chimera if you're going to do that.
And go back to that again, Antonio. You definitely want to switch to Palpatine after Gear 9, and then you eventually want to go for a Zeta, but past Gear 9, you'd want to go ahead and switch it up from Thrawn. Some of these pop up without the nice little orange border on there, and I wish I could tell you how to put it on there, but I'm ignorant to that. So it's nice when they pop up that way. I can see them right away, but I try to go in between and get the other questions if I can. So sorry if I passed up on you on that. I'm just yeah. I've done the @ symbol too, because some of them are popping up at Sureshot and then at Warrior. The at Warrior pops up with the orange around it. So
pop up because you're nobody. Just kidding.
Because you aren't a YouTube elite yet, right? Hey man, I got 4 subscribers.
I'm one of them.
Yeah. Thanks, friends and family. Michelangelo again. Hi. Is Grand Arena your favorite game mode on this alt account? Personally, I love Grand Arena because it uses strategy, but mods ruins ruined on your main account. Yeah, mods can definitely ruin on your main account when you're up to that level, going against these guys that have grandfathered in God mods that are not available to anybody else yet, especially because it's just lots of other RNG reasons. So, yeah, I would say, me personally, I liked Grand Arena. It was a lot of fun. Knowing darn good and well there was cheaters on there, yeah, it threw me off once in a while. I think only actually ran into one who I knew for sure was doing that, but we'll see what happens when it comes, when or if it comes back. As we said before, they've got a big problem on their hands they need to correct, and I think that Grand Arena is going to be on the back burner for a bit.
Start talking about Grand Arena, and all of a sudden my game froze. What have you done? What have you done? What have you done? No. I've noticed this actually on my phones on my main account that I'll be playing and I'll be clicking and all of a sudden it will do the endless spinning circle of death. I'll have to reboot the computer and then, or whatever, the phone, and then it works fine again. I have no idea why it sometimes does this. So I'm going to go ahead and let you chat, but I'm going to do a quick restart on the emulator. Hold on one second.
Kevin Fiddler, I will definitely hop on this one for you. Should you farm or spend crystals to get stun guns? It's driving me crazy. Farm, farm, farm. Don't give them the satisfaction of your crystals.
Keep going,
keep
brother.
going. All right.
Trying to get it up, man.
That can be a problem for a lot of guys.
Delay tactic, so if you stop this.
So, yeah, I would say crystals occasionally. There will be that once in a while pack where 25 crystals pops up for like 275 crystals. If you got a surplus sitting around, if you've already done your refreshes for the day, that can be a good way to get yourself a nice little leg up on the stun guns. But that is the choke point for every character in the game. And on top of that, now they've thrown the cryotechs in there too. So it's the same problem everybody else is going through, and I feel your pain. Everybody feels your pain. That's something that is not a direct answer to, but I would say, me personally being free to play, I farm rather than spend, but the occasional time when they're for that cheap amount, I would go ahead and hop on those just because there's never a bad time to buy Mark V stun gun salvage because they're just a pain. See here. Ooh, this one might be a fun one to pronounce. I'm doing pretty good today. Let's see if I can keep this steam going here. U3 Pog 4O? U3 Pog. Wait, no. Yeah, I'll try that one again in a second. Please help me. I'm trying to build a Darth Revan team without Malik. Won't get him soon. we all won't get him soon. Is there a way to beat Darth Revan and Malik teams with a Darth Revan without Malik?
I do think it is possible, but not probable. The issue is Darth Malik can take out 4 people by himself. So he's so powerful. Taking him out is very difficult, but you can get it to where he can't heal. And when he can't heal, you can, kill him. So that's one of the things, is putting like a healing immunity or a shock or something on him to prevent him from healing. If it actually works, then it gives you that capability. So let's see. Guild event started.
Ooh. Looks like it had a little refresh there. Had some time to think about what it's done.
Yeah.
We'll see if it wants to continue to cooperate.
Let's try this again. Straight up, I have no idea what's going on, you guys.
The error in which has occurred just to make
Yeah, every time I try and buy that piece, all of a sudden, I can't buy that piece.
Shows how real
It's like, restart. Well, we're going to probably go to, you know what, we should go to, we're over an hour, so let's go ahead and go to story time anyway. So let's do story time. How about that? Okay. It's about that time. Because I think we've pretty much done all of our, everything else that we want to do. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, all the dailies. The only thing left is I could do Hoth territory battles, but for some reason the emulator keeps freezing and restarting. So we're just gonna go with it. So I'm gonna preface this story with this is not about Democrats. This is not about Republicans. This is about okay. So if you're a Democrat, you need to open your ears. If you're a Republican, you need to open your ears. Don't judge what I'm saying until you've heard the whole story and try and understand the meaning behind the story. This is a real story. So if everybody's from other countries or is in America and has been living under a rock, they may not know, but we have a bit of an emergency on our southern border with a ton of asylees. Asylees are people who are seeking asylum. People who are seeking asylum are people who are fleeing persecution and death through either political, they're either political refugees or, someone's going to kill them because of their political belief, their spiritual belief, things like that. But asylum is not for financial gain. It's that they don't want to die. It's how it's defined, not only in the laws, but in like Webster's dictionary. So there's asylum people. There's also immigration that we do. And fun fact, America brings in 1.18 million immigrants every year. And I'm super pro-immigrant. So that's pretty awesome. And that is actually more. We bring in more immigrants than all other countries combined. So we're a nation of bringing people in and making a big melting pot, right? So that's a really good thing. But asylees are different. Asylees actually get to skip the immigration process. It's a completely different program altogether. And asylees come in and they're, like I said, they're fleeing death or harm, serious bodily injury or death. And so we have a bunch of those inflowing. It's not just the normal immigration. We're actually having asylees inflow. And, on the right side, they're like, lock them up. I don't even care if they're kids. And the other side is saying, let them all in. Let's not even take a look at it, right? It's cold-hearted to enforce laws. Let's just let everybody in. And see, both sides are wrong because the left is trying to play the humanitarian thing that we just need to let them all in and we need to be humanitarian. And I agree, we need to be humanitarian. But the right is saying, well, we're a nation of laws and we let more people in than any other world, any other country in the world. So we need to have some enforcement. And they're right. And so there's this happy medium. Well, in this enforcement, we we stop individuals and we have to determine whether the children that are with these adults are actually theirs. And a lot of people say, well, that's just bull crap. You're just separating kids from their parents. And that's where the story time comes this week. I'm hoping this story opens the eyes of both Republicans and Democrats alike, opens it up for the world to understand our problems in America a little bit more, and maybe brings both sides to look at this topic in a different light. So my wife and I, we mentioned earlier that we used to do foster care a lot, and we'd helped over 15 children in foster care. One of the stories, I'm going to talk about one child. We're going to call her Ruby. Okay. That's going to be the name of this girl. She was, she's a Mexican national. She was 5 years old, and she was kidnapped. She was one of hundreds of children in Mexico that were kidnapped from their children or from their parents. And she was brought to just before the border. And there was an individual who was claiming asylum, who purchased her, and his means for coming into America were for financial gain, which actually is not asylum, that's immigration, and he would be in a different program. So to do that, he actually swapped and said it was for like emergent reasons for the life and welfare of his child, which he purchased. And then of course they put the child under duress. She's 5 years old. Under duress, and say, if you say anything other than what we tell you to say, you will die. And a 5-year-old doesn't want to die, so they've already been kidnapped. They're away from their family. Now, for the record, this story is real, and you're going to say, oh, you're fear-mongering. I'm not, and I'm not saying this happens all the time. In fact, the facts are the children, I just read the report for April of 2018. That's the last time they have an official report coming out because they have to work through all the numbers. It takes them months to work through the numbers. But April of 18, 7% that month were not returned to the adult. So 7%, it was determined, were not with their genuine parent or guardian or somebody that they should be with. Now, 7% is pretty small. That means 93% are, legit people who are actually with their family and should be. That's the vast majority. But 7%, we still have to have laws in place to help the 7%, because the 7% that's terrifying to think that there's 7% of children that are being kidnapped and used in this method. Well, he got busted, trying to come through with her, seeking fake asylum, and she was placed into the foster care system. So people think that America is caging all these children into prison systems and all that, and like we're prison hungry, and that is actually kind of true right now. And the reason why that's true is because we have a foster care system which is full. We have holding facilities for asylees, which is full. We have overflow facilities, which are full. And now we have overflow facilities, such as overflow facilities that are makeshift overflow facilities full. And we have now some prisons that are opening up to be utilized for this. And it's only because the inflow of individuals is so high, we just don't have anywhere to put them. So it's a tragedy, right, that these people are getting placed in these holding facilities that suck, but it's because of the inflow that everything's full. In fact, they're sending these people to other states to put them in better situations while their asylum claims are going through. Well, luckily for Ruby, she was placed with us, so she didn't have to, be in one of these holding facilities. We were the holding facility, and the government prefers foster care as the holding facility for everyone, including the children. So she got placed with us until they determined that she was with her dad. And after about a week, they determined that she, in fact, wasn't actually with her dad. They found out that he had purchased her. He finally did admit to this at the border, and he used her as his salvation to get through to America. And they asked him why, and he said, well, because I wanted to come up here for a better job. He was actually from Honduras, and he wanted a better job. And I get that. That's what immigration's for. But kind of a terrifying reason to come up here is to kidnap a child. So Ruby was with us for a little over a week. Sometimes figuring this out takes a week. Sometimes figuring out who their parents are takes a month. Sometimes it takes up to 6 months. So it's kind of an arduous process. But the time frame that she was with us was amazing. We got to help her out. My wife speaks Spanish because my wife is, she's Spanish and Chinese. So she actually speaks Spanish. And so we had Ruby, and it was a really interesting experience to kind of go through this whole process and open my eyes to the fact that we need to be human about this whole situation, about the asylees, but we also need to understand that we need to enforce rules and we need to protect these children, because there are, even if it's only 7%, even if it was 1%, we have to protect the children. Now, the funny part of this story, because there's always got to be kind of something funny, like when I went against Diablo and unfortunately had to put a dog down, right? The terrible story, it ended with my son coming in and seeing me, cleaning the blood off the wall. If you haven't seen the story, go back to story time and watch the Diablo story. But because that's a funny moment in that terrifying story. But this moment, there was kind of a funny, but a moment. My wife, she's speaking Spanish, and this girl came in. And by the way, when she came in, she had a dirty diaper on. Now I want to preface this. She's 5 years old and she was potty trained. She'd been potty trained for over 3 years. She had a diaper on because that's how they transported her through when they got caught. She had the diaper. That was their means of during smuggling. Like, you don't have to stop for potty breaks and stuff. You just let them pee and poop inside of a diaper. So that's how they were transporting her. And she had this dirty little doll, just a tiny little rag doll that she had, and she was clutching it, and they brought her in, and they had just changed her, and they left her in a diaper though, but they had no clothes. They had no clothes for her, and they were like, we need to temporarily place her with you while we determine her guardian, if that's really her dad. We don't know how long it'll take, 1 week to 6 months. We said sure, so we took her in, and she only speaks Spanish because she was actually a Mexican national. And my wife speaks Spanish, and so my wife starts speaking to her, and immediately she instantaneous trust. My wife was sitting down on the couch because we want to not scare her, so we were sitting on couches, and she ran over and sat on my wife's lap, and she snuggled up on my wife's lap for a couple hours. And while she snuggled up on my wife's lap, I was like, I'm going to go shop for her. I'm going to go get her. I'm going to get her some clothes, and I'm going to get her this and this and this. And I'm excited. We're going to buy her, stuff, and we're going to take care of her, because I was excited that we were going to be able to help her. And so I went to the local Walmart, and I bought a bunch of stuff, some clothes and toys and some things like this, because I wanted her to have a fun, healthy stay with us. And so I come back into the house, and I lay all the stuff out on the floor, and I'm like, all the clothing and all, and I'm like putting it like Vanna White out, and la. And she's looking at all of this, and Ruby's looking at me confused, and she's looking at Connie, and she's looking at me, and I tell Connie, I say, my wife's name is Connie. I say, Connie, I said, let me tell her all of this is hers. All of this is hers. So my wife tells me the phrase in Spanish to say it. All of this is hers. And I'm a white boy. I don't exactly speak Spanish very well. I think after a couple of Coronas, and when I'm in Mexico, we've been to Mexico over 100 times, I start to get a little better. I'm like, uno más taco, por favor. I kind of I pick up what I need to pick up to order, but that's about it. I'm totally a white guy. But so she tells me this phrase, and I think I've got it down. And so I'm like, all right. And so I'm like, blah, 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 and I say the saying. And my wife gets her face gets, drawn out, the continents on her face dropped. And the little girl, Ruby, we'll call Ruby, starts just crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I say? And so Connie starts speaking in Spanish to her, and they're like, blah, 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 and then they're fine. And they're hugging, and she's like, okay. And then she comes down off of the couch, and she starts to try the clothing on, and we're just like, okay. And so I go to another room with my wife, and I say, what happened? And she said, so you pointed everything out, and you said, in Spanish, none of this is yours. None of this is yours. None of this is yours. So the little girl thought that I had bought all this stuff, brought it back simply to put it in her face and say, you don't get any of this. And I was mortified. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks, man. I'm in my own house, and I'm trying to do
the trust.
I know. And that's, that's funny, because she straight up she didn't want to be around me. And you know what? We found out later, of course, she had been kidnapped and had been taken from her parents. and was sold into the sex trade. And she shouldn't have trusted me. Matter of fact, I was happy she didn't trust me. She trusted my wife, and that was a very good week for her to really bond with my wife, and it was a good time. About a weekend, just so you guys know the end of the story, about a weekend, they did find her parents who were in Mexico, who said, my God, you found our child. And they're happily in Mexico, enjoying their life in Mexico until their child was kidnapped. His end destination. So the way that the system here that he was using worked was he bought the child at the border, uses her to get to the end destination, become an asylee, and become a legal migrant to America, and then he resells to get his money back, because he's actually a coyote's coyote for children. He then sells back the child at the end destination to recoup his loss. That's the motivation to getting the child to the end destination. They pay for it and then get their money back. It's a lower amount of money than they paid for, but they get it it's like a bottle fee. You buy a bottle of soda. If you recycle it, you get 5 cents back. It's kind of something like that. But it's an incentive enough that he wants his money back so he has money for life. So he was going to drop the child off in Omaha, Nebraska, is where we found out the end destination was. That's apparently in the Midwest is a really, really good place to do this child sex trafficking, because there's just a lot of opportunity in those areas. And so he was going to drop her off in the Midwest in Omaha. And then he was going to then go and just live his life and be in America. Now, like I said, I understand this is a vast minority, very tiny populace that this is happening to. The vast majority of asylees are coming in, and they either want better, they don't want to die, or they want a better financial life. Yeah, like they have legitimate reasons. And then the 78% that are coming in for financial reasons get told, sorry, you got to go be a migrant, and then they have to go through the immigration system, which is for people who want to come in for financial reasons. And then the 28% who are actually seen as their life's at threat, we approve them, and they just skip the whole line, and they get to become an American citizen. So that's currently where we're at. 28% of asylees become asylum approved, and then 72% are denied and have to go into the next line, which is the immigration line. So that's kind of where that's at. But anyway, she was rescued. She was not taken to her end destination and sold into sex slavery as a 5-year-old child. I have daughters. I have 3 daughters. To think that could have happened to any of my children literally makes me want to start crying right now. It's a terrible thing. But we were able to get her back to her parents. So super awesome story, super heartwarming. I know that it's a very unique circumstance, but being a foster parent, you see some really weird stories. I've got a ton of story time stories out of foster care, both as a law enforcement officer and as on the receiving end. In fact, yeah, but that was the kind of the funny part of the story was I went to Walmart, bought a bunch of stuff, brought it all out, laid it all out. I'm all Vanna White, what's up? Look at all this cool stuff. And then I'm like, none of this is yours. None of this is yours. None of this is yours. And she's in Spanish, and she's like, and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I screwed up. It was terrible. It was terrible. I was like, oh my gosh. So, but anyway, guys, Darth Mar gave another donation. He wanted to say something. So before things happen, despair makes people do bad things. He's right. It is sad. And thanks for the story and the happy ending. I am really glad that it had a happy ending for sure. There is things, and I think that the biggest thing that we can glean from this story is this: the one side isn't right, the other side isn't right. There's truth elements within the whole spectrum of things. I think we should be independent thinkers. I think we shouldn't just align instantaneously with a thought process. I think we should think for ourselves and determine for ourselves what we believe and think. And I think the biggest thing is we should become educated on the facts so we fully understand what is or isn't happening in its entirety, or if it is happening, why, and understand kind of the how, the why, that kind of thing. So that's my only little tidbit suggestion, warrior tip of the day. Don't blindly follow any political leanings. Figure it out for yourself. But I really appreciate everybody coming by and stopping by and hanging out with us today. We had a really, really good time. We're almost at an hour and a half, so I'm going to go ahead and let you shout out, and then I'll kick us out.
To add to that, yes, political conversations can be a bore and a problem and get heated and all that. Getting facts is a much better way to understand the argument, and that takes work. So don't shy away from the work if you want to have a worthwhile discussion with somebody. But this was Sure Shot.
And this is Warrior, and I appreciate you guys coming on. So everybody, keep your gaming on. Warrior and Sure Shot out.